one of the areas affected. As I mentioned, I'm going to speak to Mohammed Shafiq now. He's the Chief Executive of the Ramadan Foundation. It's a Manchester-based organisation, and it's focused on developing relations between Muslims and non-Muslims in Britain, and there's never been a more apt time to talk to him. Thank you for sparing us the time tonight, Mohammed.
Good evening.
Hi. What do you make of what Craig Whittaker said there, saying BME communities are not taking this seriously enough?
Well, I think that's an absolute appalling comment from a Member of Parliament. When we see around the country various football clubs like Liverpool Football Club celebrating their Premier League victory, which Leeds United, who were also promoted into the Premiership, also, you look at the state of their fans. So the idea that you're going to target ethnic minorities, I think is absolutely appalling, but just systematic of what the Conservative Party has become in the 21st century. I understand that there is a spike in cases in those parts of the country that have been announced. We understand that. From March onwards, the Muslim community, the ethnic minorities who are deeply affected by the coronavirus have followed the guidance as much as everybody else and will continue to follow the guidance. But to announce something 2 or 3 hours before it comes into force, when families have already travelled from across the country to be with their loved ones for the day of Eid tomorrow, I think is an absolutely appalling decision, and I think it will cause real anger and resentment out there in the community.
Do you think it's been timed to be the evening before Eid?
I think that's the message people are jumping to, and I hope it's not. I really do hope that the decision was taken away from this. But had they've known for a week and a half now of the spiking cases, why did they not take the impact it was going to have on families from BME communities, particularly Muslim communities, as I said, who are celebrating the festival of Eid tomorrow. And, the likes of Andy Burnham, the Greater Manchester Mayor, who's had his statement ready to be issued to the media, yet he didn't see fit to engage with the British Muslim community to tell them in advance something was coming. And so it's going to be very difficult to police this, which some of your callers were saying just that point. It's going to be, how are you going to police this? And secondly, you can go to the park, you can go to a restaurant, you can potentially, as a family, go to the pub. There's no clarity about this.
I just heard, actually, about the pub, because I've been trying to ask about this. Apparently, you can go to the pub, but you've got to stay within your household bubble. So basically, you can't speak or get near to anybody who's not in your household, so there's not much point going, really. It's a difficult question to ask, but I'll ask it. Do you think the message has got through to members of some Muslim communities who continue to practice their daily routines without taking into consideration some of the restrictions? Is that happening, do you think, or not?
Well, I think if you look at what's happened since March, you've seen the mosque closed, other places of worship now they're open, but they're all COVID protected. People are taking those precautions if you go into shops and issues. But, like the rest of society, people are feeling very, very weary, and they're feeling, they've made so many sacrifices these past few months. And, it's difficult for people, and it's not easy to follow these rules. And so we don't have a problem with the rules per se, the restrictions per se. It's the way it was delivered 3 hours before coming into force, with no recourse and no understanding about the impact it was going to have on so many people across the country. As I said, had we got 2 or 3 days' notice, and I know within my family, my 2 sisters have travelled from Birmingham and other parts of the country to Manchester. Now, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to go back home tonight?
Sounds like, to be honest, Mohammed, it sounds like they should. It sounds like after midnight, that's it. They've got to go home.
Yeah, and the communication of this has been absolutely appalling. And I think if you want to get people on side, if you want them to apply the rules and follow the rules, then you've got to explain it in a responsible sort of way. And I think it's been shameful from the government tonight.
OK. Well, listen, happy Eid. Pleasure to speak to you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day tomorrow, but a socially distanced one, if you can. Thank you, Mohammed. Mohammed Shafiq, he's the Chief Executive of the Ramadan Foundation. Blimey, this